Synopsis of the fourth tablet. The Nibiruans hail even the small gold delivery. Test of gold's use as an atmospheric shield succeed. Additional heroes and new equipment are sent to Earth. Gold extraction from the water continues to disappoint. Ea discovers gold sources that need deep mining in the Abzu. Enlil, then Anu, come to Earth for crucial decisions. As the half-brothers quarrel, lots decide the task. Ea, renamed Enki, Earth's master, goes to the Abzu. Enlil stays to develop permanent facilities in the Eden. As Anu prepares to leave, he is attacked by Alelu. The seven who judge sentence Alelu to exile on Lamu. Anu's daughter Ninma, a medical officer, is sent to Earth. Stopping off at Lamu, Mars, she finds Alelu dead. A rock carved to resemble Alelu's face serves as his tomb. Anzu is given command of a way station on Lamu. To Nibiru, words of the ascent were beamed. On Nibiru there was much expecting. With confidence was Abgal the chariot guiding. Around Kingu, the moon, he made a circuit, by its net powers speed to gain. 1,000 leagues, 10,000 leagues toward Lamu he journeyed. By its net power a direction toward Nibiru to obtain. Beyond Lamu the hammer bracelet was a-whirling. Deftly did Abgal Ea's crystals make a glow, the open paths to locate. The eve of fate upon him with favor looked. Beyond the bracelet, the chariot beamed signals from Nibiru was receiving. Homeward, homeward was the direction. Ahead, in the darkness, in reddish hue glowed Nibiru. A sight to behold it was. By the beam signals the chariot was now directed. Thrice around Nibiru it made circuits, by its net force to be slowed. Nearing the planet, the breach in its atmosphere Abgal could see. A squeezing in his heart he felt. Of the gold he was bringing was he thinking. Passing through the atmosphere's thickness, aglow was the chariot, its heat overbearing. Deftly did Abgal spread the chariot's wings, its descent thereby arresting. Beyond lay the place of the chariots, a sight most inviting. Gently did Abgal the chariot bring down to a place by the beams selected. He opened the hatch. A multitude of populace was there assembled. Anu toward him stepped forward, locked arms, warm greetings uttered. Heroes into the chariot rushed. The gold-bearing baskets they brought out. High above their heads they the baskets held. To the assembled words of victory Anu shouted. Salvation is here, to them he was saying. To the palace was Abgal accompanied. To rest and tell all he was escorted. The gold, a sight most dazzling, by the savants was quickly taken. To make of it the finest dust, to skyward launch it was hauled away. A shard did the fashioning last, a shard did the testing continue. With rockets was the dust heavenward carried, by crystals' beams was it dispersed. Where there was a breach, now there was a healing. Joy the palace filled, abundance in the land was expected. To earth, Anu good words was beaming. Gold gives salvation, the obtaining of gold do continue. When Nibiru near the sun came, the golden dust was by its rays disturbed. The healing in the atmosphere was dwindled. The breach to bigness returned. Anu, the return of Abgal to earth, then commanded. In the chariot more heroes traveled. In its bowels more, that which the water sucks in and thrust out, were provided. With them Nungal to travel was commanded, a pilot helper to Abgal to become. Great joy there was when Abgal to Eridu returned. Many greetings and the locking of arms there was. The new water workings Ea with care contemplated. There was smiling on his face, in his heart there was a squeezing. By shar time, Nungal in the chariot was to depart ready. In its bowels the chariot only a few baskets of gold carried. The disappointment on Nibiru's Ea's heart to him was predicting. Ea with Alelu words exchanged. That which was known they reconsidered. If Earth, the head of Tiamat, was in the celestial battle cut off, where was the neck? Where were the golden veins cut asunder? Where were the golden veins from Earth's innards protruding? In the sky chamber Ea over mountains and valleys traveled. The lands by oceans separated he with the scanner examined. Again and again there was the same indication. Where dry land from dry land apart was torn, Earth's innards were revealed. Where the landmass the shape of a heart was given, in the lower part thereof golden veins from Earth's innards were abundant. Abzu, of gold the birthplace, Ea to the region the name gave. Ea then to Anu words of wisdom beamed. With gold earth indeed is filled. From the veins, not from the waters, the gold must be gotten. From earth's bowels, not from its waters, must the gold be obtained. From a region beyond the ocean, Abzu shall be called, can an abundance of gold be gotten. In the palace there was great astonishment. Savants and counselors to Ea's words gave consideration. That gold must be obtained, on that unanimity there was. How to obtain it from the bowels of the earth, of that there was much discussion. In the assembly a prince spoke up. Enlil he was, the half-brother of Ea. First Alelu, then his son by marriage, Ea, upon waters placed all hope. Of salvation by water's gold they were reassuring. Shar after shar, all of us salvation were expecting. Now different words we are hearing, a task beyond imagining to undertake. Proof of the golden veins is needed. A plan for success must be ensured. So was Enlil to the assembly saying. To his words many in agreement listened. Let Enlil go to earth, Anu was saying. Let him proof obtain, a plan put forward. His words shall be heeded. His words a command shall be. In unanimity the assembly its consent gave. Enlil's mission it approved. With Al-Algar, his chief lieutenant, Enlil for earth departed. Al-Algar his pilot was. With each a sky chamber were the two of them provided. To earth the words of Anu the king, words of decisions were beamed. Enlil of the mission and command shall be, his word shall be the command. When Enlil on earth arrived, Ea with his half-brother warmly locked arms. As brother meets brother, Ea Enlil did welcome. To Alelu Enlil made a bowing. Alelu with weak words him bade welcome. The heroes to Enlil words of warm welcome were shouting. Of the commander much they were expecting. Deftly Enlil the sky chambers to be assembled did command. In a sky chamber he went a-soaring. Al-Algar his chief lieutenant was as the pilot with him. Ea in a sky chamber by Abgal piloted to them to the Abzu showed the way. They surveyed the dry lands of the oceans, they took careful notice. From the upper sea to the lower sea the lands they scanned. Of all that was above and that was below they took account. In the Abzu the soil they tested. Gold there was indeed, with much soil and rocks it was commixed. Refined as in the waters it was not, in an admixture it was hiding. They went back to Eridu, what they had found they contemplated. Eridu new tasks must be given, alone on earth it cannot continue. Thus was Enlil saying, a great plan he described, a wide mission he was proposing. More heroes to bring over, more settlements to establish, the gold from earth's innards to obtain, the gold from the admixture to separate, by skyships and chariots to be carried from landing place task to perform. Who of the settlements in charge will be? Who of the Abzu shall take command? Thus was Ea of Enlil asking. Who of enlarged Eridu shall take command? Who the settlements shall oversee? Thus was Alelu saying. Who of the skyships and the landing place shall take command? So did Anzu inquire. Let Anu come to earth, let him decisions provide. Thus did Enlil say in answer. Now this is the account of how Anu to earth came, how lots with Ea and Enlil were drawn, how Ea the title named Enki was given, how Alelu for the second time with Anu wrestled. To earth in a celestial chariot did Anu journey, the route by the planets it followed. Around the moon Nagal the pilot a circuit made, by Anu was it closely observed. The moon, the one who Kingu once had been, they circled and admired. Perchance gold thereon can also be found, in his heart Anu wondered. In the waters beside the marshlands his chariot splashed down. Ea for the arrival reed boats prepared, for Anu to arrive by sailing. Above the sky chambers were hovering, a royal welcome they were offering. In the lead boat Ea himself was afloat, the king his father the first to be greeting. Before Anu he bowed, then Anu embraced him. My son, my firstborn, Anu to him shouted. In the square of Eridu in rows stood the heroes, their king to earth royally to welcome. In front of them stood Enlil, their commander. Before Anu the king he bowed. Anu him to his chest embraced. Alelu too was there standing. Of what to do he was uncertain. Anu to him a greeting extended. "Let us lock arms as comrades," to Alelu he said. With hesitation Alelu stepped forward. With Anu he locked arms. A meal for Anu was prepared. By eventime to a reed hut for him by Ea built, Anu retired. The next day, the 7th, by the count begun by Ea, was a day of resting. A day of backslapping and celebrating it was, as befits a king's coming. On the day that followed, Ea and Enlil before Anu the findings presented. What was done and what doing needed with him they discussed. "Let me see the lands by myself," Anu to them was saying. Aloft they all in the sky chambers went. Lands from sea to sea they observed. To the Absu they flew, on its gold-hiding soil they landed. "Difficult will the gold's extraction be," Anu was saying. "To obtain the gold it is necessary. No matter how deep the gold is below the surface, it must be gotten. Let Ea and Enlil tools for the purpose devise. Let them heroes for the task assign. Let them find how gold from soil and rock separates, how to Nibiru pure gold to deliver. Let a landing place to be built. Let more heroes to the task on earth be assigned." So was Anu to the two sons saying. In his heart, of way stations in the heavens he was thinking. Those were the command words of Anu. Ea and Enlil in agreement their heads were bowing. There were evenings and there were mornings. To Eridu they all returned. In Eridu they held a council, task and duties to assign. Ea, who Eridu established, was the first to speak up. "Eridu have I established. Let other settlements in this region be set up. Let it the Eden be, abode of the upright ones, by this name be known. The commander of the Eden let me be. Let Enlil the gold extraction perform." By these words Enlil was angered. "The plan is wrongful to Anu," he said. "Of commanding and task to perform I am the better. Of sky ships I have the knowledge. Of the earth and its secrets my half-brother Ea is the knower. The Absu he discovered. Let him of the Absu be the master." Anu to the angry words with a careful ear listened. The brothers were again half-brothers. The firstborn with the legal heir with words as weapons were contending. Ea was the firstborn son. By a concubine to Anu he was born. Enlil, thereafter born by Antu, Anu's spouse, was conceived. A half-sister of Anu she was. Thereby Enlil the legal heir making. Thereby the next-born son for the succession the firstborn overcoming. A conflict that the obtainment of gold would endanger Anu was fearing. One of the brothers to Nibiru must return. The succession from considering must now be removed. So was Anu to himself thinking. Aloud to two a startling suggestion he made. "Who to Nibiru the throne seat shall return? Who the Eden shall command? Who in the Absu shall be the master? Let us three, I with you, by lots determine." Silent were the brothers. The audacious words by surprise them overtook. "Let us draw lots," Anu said. "By the hand of fate let there be a decision." The three, father and two sons, clasped their hands together. They cast lots. By the lots the task they divided. Anu to Nibiru to return, its ruler on the throne to remain. The Eden to Enlil was allotted, to be lord of the command as his name indicated. More settlements to establish, of the sky ships and their heroes charged to take. Of all the lands until they the bar of the seas encounter, the leader to be. To Ea the seas and the oceans as his domain were granted. Lands beyond the bar of the waters by him to be governed. In the Absu to be the master, with ingenuity the gold to procure. Enlil with the lots was agreeable. The hand of fate he with a bow accepted. Ea's eyes filled with tears. Of Eridu and the Eden he wished not to be parted. Let Ea forever Eridu as his home retain, Anu to Enlil was saying. Let his being the first to splash down forever be remembered. Let Ea as Earth's master be known. Enki, Earth's master, let his title be. His father's words Enlil with a bow accepted. To his brother he thus said, Enki, Earth's master, your title name shall henceforth be. I, Lord of the command, shall be known. To the heroes in assembly, Anu, Enki, and Enlil the decisions announced. The tasks are assigned. Success is in the offing. Anu to them was saying, "Now farewell I can bid you. To Nibiru with quiet heart I can return." Forward to Anu Alelu stepped. "A grave matter has been forgotten," he shouted. "The mastery of earth to me was allotted. That was the promise when the gold finds to Nibiru I announced. Nor have I the claim to Nibiru's throne forsaken. By Anu to share all with his sons, it is a grave abomination." Thus did Alelu, Anu, and the decision challenge. Without words was Anu in the beginning. Then with anger he spoke up. "By a second wrestling let our dispute be decided. Let us the wrestling do here. Let us do it now." With disdain Alelu took off his clothing, likewise did Anu unrobe. In nakedness did the two royals begin to grapple. A mighty struggle it was. Alelu bent his knee. To the ground Alelu fell. Anu on the chest of Alelu with his foot pressed down, victory in the wrestling thereby declaring. By wrestling the decision was made. "I am the king. To Nibiru Alelu shall not return." So was Anu saying as he removed his foot from the fallen Alelu. Up as a lightning Alelu from the ground arose. By the legs Anu he pulled down. His mouth was wide open. Swiftly he the male hood of Anu bit off. The male hood of Anu did Alelu swallow. In pain, agony did Anu a cry to the heavens shout. To the ground wounded he fell. Enki to the falling Anu rushed. Enlil the laughing Alelu captive held. Heroes Anu to his but carried words of accusation against Alelu he uttered. "Let justice be done." Enlil to his lieutenant shouted, "With your beam weapon let Alelu be killed." "No, no," Enki fiercely shouted. "Justice is within him. In his innards poison has entered." They took Alelu to a reed hut. His hands and feet as a prisoner they bound. Now this is the account of the judging of Alelu, and of the happenings thereafter on earth and on Lemu. In his reed hut Anu was hurting. In the reed hut to him Enki applied the healing. In his reed hut Alelu was sitting. Spittle he spat from his mouth. In his innards the malehood of Anu was like a burden. With Anu's semen were his innards impregnated. Like a female in travail his belly grew swollen. On the third day Anu's pains subsided. His pride was greatly hurting. To Nibiru I wish to return, to his two sons did Anu say. Beforehand upon Alelu there must be a judgment. A sentence the crime befitting must be imposed. By the laws of Nibiru 7 judges were required, the highest of rank on them to preside. In the square of Eridu the heroes were assembled the trial of Alelu to observe. For the 7 who judge 7 seats were provided. For Anu, presiding, the tallest seat was prepared. To his right Enki was seated. Enlil was seated on Anu's left. On Enki's right Anzu and Ningal were seated. Abgal and Alaugar to the left of Enlil sat. Before these 7 who judge Alelu was brought. His hands and feet were untied. Enlil was first to speak. In fairness a wrestling match was held. Alelu the kingship to Anu forfeited. What say you, Alelu? Enki him the question asked. In fairness the wrestling match was held. The kingship I forfeited, Alelu said. Having been vanquished, Alelu an abominable crime performed. The malehood of Anu he bit and swallowed. Thus did Enlil the accusation of the crime make. Death is the punishment, Enlil was saying. What say you, Alelu? Enki his father by marriage asked. There was silence. Alelu the question did not answer. We all the crime did witness, Alaugar was saying. Judgment must be in accordance. If words you wish to utter, speak before the judging, Enki to Alelu said. In the silence, Alelu slowly began to speak. On Nibiru I was king. By right of succession I was reigning. Anu was my cupbearer. The princes he aroused. To a wrestling he me challenged. For 9 counted circuits I was king on Nibiru. To my seed kingship was belonging. On my throne seat Anu himself sat. To escape death to distant earth I made a dangerous journey. Salvation for Nibiru I, Alelu, on the alien planet discovered. Return to Nibiru I was promised, in fairness the throne to regain. Then to Earth came Ea, the one by compromise the next to reign Nibiru he was designated. Then came Enlil, the succession from Anu to himself claiming. Then Anu came. By lots he tricked Ea and Enki, the lord of Earth. He was proclaimed of Earth, not of Nibiru, to be the master. Then to Enlil command was granted. Enki to the distant Absu was delegated. My heart of all that was aching, my chest from shame and anger was bursting. Then Anu his foot upon my chest placed, upon my aching heart he was treading. In the silence Anu spoke up. By royal seed and law, by fair wrestling did I gain the throne. My malehood you bit off and swallowed, my offspring line to discontinue. Enlil spoke up. To the crime the accused admitted, let the judgment come. Let death the punishment be. Death, said Al-Algar. Death, said Abgal. Death, said Nangal. Death to Alelu by itself will be coming. What he had swallowed in his innards death will bring, Enki was saying. Let Alelu for the rest of his days on earth be in prison, Anzu was saying. Their words Anu was contemplating, angry and pity both him engulfed. To die in exile, let this be the judgment, Anu was saying. In amazement the judges at each other glanced. What Anu was saying they wondered. Neither on earth nor on Nibiru shall the exiling be, Anu was saying. On the way there is Lamu planet. With waters and an atmosphere it is endowed. Enki as Ea thereon made a pause. Of it as a way station have I been thinking. Its nest force is less than that of earth forceful, an advantage in wisdom to be considered. In the celestial chariot Alelu shall be taken. On my departing from earth, he with me shall make the journey. Around the planet Lamu we shall make circuits. To Alelu a sky chamber we shall provide. To the planet Lamu in it he will be descended. Alone on a strange planet in exile he shall be. His days to his last day by himself to count. Thus did Anu words of judgment utter. In solemnity were the words intended. By unanimity was the judgment upon Alelu imposed. In the presence of the heroes it was announced. Let Nangal be my pilot to Nibiru. Therefrom chariots bearing heroes again to earth to pilot. Let Anzu join for the journey of the descent to Lamu to take charge. So did Anu commandments utter. On the morrow departing was readied. All who depart by boats to the chariot were ferried. A place for landings on firm soil you must prepare, Anu to Enlil was saying. How Lamu as a way station to utilize plans you should be making. Farewells there were, both joy and sorrow. Limping did Anu on the chariot embark. With his hands tied did Alelu the chariot enter. Then to the heavens the chariot soared up, and the royal visit had ended. They around the moon made a circuit. Anu by the sight was enchanted. Toward red-hued Lamu they journeyed. Twice about it they circled. Lower toward the strange planet they came. Mountains sky high and tears in the surface they noticed. Where Ea's chariots had once landed they observed. By a lakeside it was located. Slowed by Lamu net power in the chariot the sky chamber they readied. Anzu its pilot then unexpected words to Anu was saying. With Alelu to the firm soil of Lamu I shall descend. With the sky chamber to the chariot to return I wish not. With Alelu on the strange planet I shall stay. Until he dies I shall protect him. When he dies of his innards poison, as befits a king him I shall bury. As for me, I shall have made my name. Anzu, they will say, against all odds to a king in exile a companion was. He saw things by others unseen. On a strange planet he faced unknown things. Anzu, they will to the end of times shall say, like a hero has fallen. There were tears in the eyes of Alelu. There was amazement in the heart of Anu. Your wish shall be honored to Anzu, Anu said. Hereby let a promise by me to you be made. By my raised hand to you I this swear. On the next journey, a chariot by Lumu shall circuit, its sky ship to you shall descend. If alive, it shall find you, the master of Lumu, you shall be proclaimed. When a way station on Lumu shall be established, its commander you shall be. Anzu bowed his head. So be it to Anu, he said. Into the sky chamber Alelu and Anzu were ushered. With eagles' helmets and fishes' suits they were provided. With food and tools they were supplied. From the circling chariot the sky ship departed. From the chariot its descent was observed. Then from view it disappeared, and the chariot of Nibiru continued. For 9 shars was Alelu king on Nibiru. For 8 shars Eridu he commanded. In the 9th shar, to die in exile on Lamu was his fate. Now this is the account of the return of Anu to Nibiru, and how Alelu on Lamu was buried, how Enlil on earth the landing place built. On Nibiru there was for Anu a joyous welcome. Of what had happened to the council and the princes Anu gave account. Neither pity nor vengeance from them all he sought. To discuss the task ahead he them all instructed. To the assembled a vision great in scope he outlined. Way stations from Nibiru to earth to establish. All the sun's family in one kingdom to encompass. The first on Lamu to be fashioned, the moon for the plans also to be considered. On the other planets or their circling host stations to set up. A chain, a constant caravan of chariots to supply and safeguard. The gold from earth without interruptions to Nibiru bring, perchance gold elsewhere to also find. The counselors, the princes, the savants Anu's plans considered. The salvation of Nibiru in the plans they all a promise saw. Savants and commanders knowledge of the celestial gods perfected. To chariots and sky ships a new kind, rocket ships were added. Heroes for the task were selected. For the task there was much learning. The plans to Enki and Enlil were beamed over. Preparations on earth to hurry they were told. On earth of what had happened and what to be done is required there was much discussion. Enki, Alagar, to be of Eridu the overseer appointed. His own steps to the Absu he directed. Where to obtain gold from earth's bowels he then determined. What heroes to the task are needed he calculated. What tools were required he contemplated. An earth splitter with cleverness Enki designed. On Nibiru that it be fashioned he requested. Therewith in the earth to make a gash, its innards reach by way of tunnels. That which crunches and that which crushes he also designed. On Nibiru for the Abzu to be fashioned. Of other matters Nibiru's savants he to contemplate asked. Of matters of health and well-being of heroes the needs he listed. To the heroes earth's quick circuits were upsetting. Earth's quick day and night cycles dizziness were causing. The atmosphere, though good, was in some things lacking and in other things too abundant. Of the sameness of the food the heroes were complaining. Enlil, the commander, by the heat of the sun on earth was afflicted. For coolness and shade he was longing. While in the Abzu Enki preparations was making. Enlil in his sky ship the extent of the Eden was surveying. Of mountains and rivers he took account. Of valleys and plains the measures he took. Where a landing place to establish. A place for the rocket ships he was seeking. Enlil, by the heat of the sun afflicted, for a place of coolness and shade was searching. To snow-covered mountains on the Eden's north side he took a liking. The tallest trees he ever saw grew there in a cedar forest. There above a mountain valley with power beams the surface he flattened. Great stones from the hillside the heroes quarried and to size cut. To uphold the platform with sky ships they carried and emplaced them. With satisfaction did Enlil the handiwork consider. A work beyond belief indeed it was, a structure of everlasting. An abode for himself on the crest of the mountain was his desire. Of the tall trees in the cedar forest long beams were prepared. Of them the construction of abode for himself he decreed. The abode of the north crest he named it. On Nibiru a celestial chariot for soaring off was prepared. New kinds of rocket ships, sky ships, and that which Enki had designed it was transporting. A fresh group of 50 from Nibiru it was taken. Chosen females among them were. By Ninmah, exalted lady, were they commanded. In succor and healing were they trained. Ninmah, exalted lady, a daughter of Anu she was, a half-sister, not a full sister of Enki, and Enlil she was. In succor and healing she was greatly learned. In the treating of ailments she excelled. To the complaints from earth she gave much attention, a healing was she preparing. The course of prior chariots, on tablets of destinies recorded, Nungal its pilot did follow. Unharmed, it reached the celestial god Lamu. It circled the planet. Slowly to its surface it descended. A faint beaming, a group of heroes followed. Ninmah was going with them. Beside a lake shore, Anzu they found. From his helmet the signals were beaming. Anzu himself was without motion, prostrate. He lay dead. Ninmah touched his face. To his heart she gave attention. From her pouch she took out the pulsar. Upon Anzu's heart, pulsing she directed. From her pouch she took out the emitter. Its crystal's life-giving emissions on his body she directed. 60 times did Ninmah direct the pulsar, 60 times the emitter she directed. On the 60th time Anzu his eyes opened, with his lips he motioned. Gently upon his face Ninmah water of life poured, his lips with it wetting. Gentle into his mouth the food of life she placed. Then the miracle did happen. Anzu from the dead arose. About Alelu they him then inquired. Of Alelu's death Anzu them told. He led them to a great rock, from the plain heavenward protruding. There to them what had happened he was telling. Alelu soon after the landing from unremitting pain to scream began. From his mouth his innards he was spitting. In agony he peered over the wall. Thus was Anzu to them saying. He led them to a great rock, like a mountain from the plain heavenward rising. In the great rock a cave I found, Alelu's corpse therein I hid. The entrance with stones I covered, so was Anzu to them saying. They followed him to the rock, the stones they removed, the cave they entered. Inside what of Alelu remained they found. He who once in Nibiru a king was, a pile of bones was in a cave now lying. For the first time in our annals a king not on Nibiru has died. Not on Nibiru was he buried. So did Ninmah say. Let him in peace for eternity rest, she was saying. They the cave's entrance again with stones covered. The image of Alelu upon the great rock mountain with beams they carved. They showed him wearing an eagle's helmet, his face they made uncovered. Let the image of Alelu forever gaze toward Nibiru that he ruled, toward the earth whose goal he discovered. So Ninmah, exalted lady, in the name of her father Anu did declare. As for you, Anzu, to you Anu the king his promise shall be keeping. 20 heroes with you here shall remain, the way stations building to begin. Rocket ships from earth the golden ores shall here deliver. Celestial chariots from here the gold to Nibiru shall then transport. Hundreds of heroes their abode on Lamu shall make. You, Anzu, shall be their commander. Thus did the great lady, in the name of her father Anu, to Anzu say. My life I owe to you, great lady, so was Anzu saying. My gratitude to Anu shall limits not have. From the planet Lamu the chariot departed. Toward earth the journey it continued.